Hello there, I am Keen Henry, and today I wanted to take a moment and speak with you about a topic that is instrumental in comprehending our modern life. Understanding all the aspects and topics of discussion of today's world is a very complex and challenging undertaking. There are many factors that play into this. You have social media, the internet, and news media, which create a rapidly evolving world. And a lot of times people ask the question, is it hopeless to try to keep yourself updated and try to interpret all this flood of information? And I would like to say it is not hopeless. I think if we look at societal history, it can help us understand a lot of these concepts and topics. Learning history can help us in interpreting modern events and their consequences, understanding societal norms, political differences, and cultural influences, and how that affects our daily life. To start out, in a 2025 article for Right for Education, Ebenezer Injo stated, "Culture is the collective memory of a people. It is what unites us and differentiates us at the same time." And I believe this statement could not be any more true for today's world. We can observe that culture has become more accepted and it easily impresses people nowadays. This can be seen with the growing Hispanic population in the United States. You can see a lot more restaurants, a lot more businesses, a lot more events that celebrate their culture and push that agenda to new people, and it impresses them. And this is because culture describes a way of life that people share, and this unifies them. And analyzing these cultural changes from decades earlier to now tells us a lot about our political and economic climate. In tandem with the growing population, we can see from decades earlier there was a sort of revolution with Republican presidents. There was mostly Republican ideals flowing through for the past 5 decades or so. And as the cultural minorities have increased, this has changed. A lot more liberal views have evolved and a lot new ideas have been spread. And additionally, with modern politics, it has greatly changed our lives. And background processes that move society is often tied to politics. Seeing stated in a Medium article in 2025 that politics isn't just a boring speech or random news clips. It is, it is basically the background setting for our lives. If we understand it, question it, and actively get involved, we can shape that world instead of just dealing with it. In previous times, people had less of an opinion and could not produce change in their nation's society. Conversely, in today's world, society has evolved to where people have greater access to expressing their views and becoming involved, which has improved our daily lives. With this, it is also important to look at how old tensions remain in modern times. One glaring example of this old tension is the Cold War. Countries like Russia and China have opposing extremist views, which causes a lot of political conflict, especially in democratic Western countries. Today's society has become quite unpredictable in many ways because of these clashes. Economically and socially, we're more clueless with what is going on and what will happen in the future. But keeping yourself updated with these events and these political tensions will allow you to more accurately predict what might happen and how it will affect your life going forward and how you can prepare yourself. And on another note, understanding our society's history will allow us to progress and keep moving forward. In our attempt to globalize communications, new influences have appeared. In 2023, Forgard wrote for Brilliantio stating, "Innovative technologies such as electricity, automobiles, airplanes, telephones, and computers have fundamentally changed how people interact and perceive their place in the world. Inventions like the radio influenced us through auditory cues, and then television changed our perception by focusing on visual stimulus. And finally, to social media, which compresses and intensifies information to retain viewer retention. This evolution of communication directly shows how our societal progress has changed. And by looking at these forms of communication, we can realize that news is made for entertainment, not necessarily all about the facts. Finally, we can effectively learn from our previous mistakes. By making mistakes, we can recognize what the consequences are. So if a similar event occurs, then we will know what to expect. As an example of this, Herbert Hoover had a policy of rugged individualism, which negatively affected the American public by leaving them to fend for themselves in troublesome economic times. And it eventually spiraled out of control and caused the start of the Great Depression. We know now not to follow those same principles and what would potentially happen if we did. The rise of cultural prominence, growth of political changes and influences, as well as analyzing humanity's previous mistakes, has greatly changed the world. Looking back at society's history and how we came to this point will help us sift through important information. And ultimately, this allows us to comprehend events in our social environment, resulting in a better understanding of today's world and what it can evolve into.